So we go.
Yes. Jumbo, Jumden, the Shin Shebo, Rajumbo, Yandabo, Dobesa, Ribo, Shazu, Dembo, Devor Sheba, Jidin, Jembo, Jibu, Duve, Kalu, Juba, Lana, Meba, Adam, Mina, Jumbo, Sanje, Jumden, Bejawa, Shaja, Tubala, Chazelo, Judo, Jazu, Jumbo, Jumden, the Shin Shebo, Rajumbo, Yandabo, Dobe, Sange, Ribo, Shazu, Dembo, Devor Sheba, Jidin, Jembo, Jibu, Kalu, Jurba, Lana, Meba, Lada, Mena, Dumba, Sange, Jumden, Bejawa, Shaja, Tubala, Chazo, Judo, Jazo, Jeho, Dumbo, Jumden, the Sheba, Rajumbo, Yandabo, Zobe, Sange, Riba, Shazu, Demba, Devor Sheba, Jidin, Jembo, Jibu, Due, Kalu, Jurba, Lana, Meba, Lada, Mena, Dumba, Sange, Jumden, Bejawa, Shaja, Tubala, Chazo, Judo, Jazo, Jeho, Kande, Kane, Zo, Jedan, De, Sajen, De La, Gomba, Mane, Jide, De La, Choje, Zo, De, Jevo, Jelo, Chazo, Nanda, Boa, Chodo, Suzawa, Ishe, Jazo, Sege, Lumbora, Kaba, Jide, Sona, Lamewa, Bo, Jini, Gela, Chazo, Senjo, Demo, Jime, Dawe, Jao, Sendo, Chawa, Gela, Chao, Dede, Jona, Seba, Suma, Ji, Nyame, Kijin, Gela, Chao, Omo, Tuji, Jendeba, Tamji, Kembe, Tombo, Sona, Yende, Gazo, Je, Tijin, Chela, Chao, Tabe, Deja, Jewa, Ju, Gewe, Nyesu, Letu, Otenda, Jujuba, Shinju, Jela, Chao, Trone, Trove, Layade, Laba, Lala, Randu, Shinje, Damba, Yede, Gindu, Laya, Chao, Deba, Jia, Meja, Shin, Jewa, Pusun, Soba, Rangi, Sene, Yonzu, Tene, Sange, Temo, Kamara Rema Medan Gyuma Seba Churdam Mela Loga Dindavu Diji Juna Didada Sana Di Tamji Seba Yi Goba Tune Genji Radu Gada Nada Shive Lapchule Sibe Jowara Jowa Sho.
Page 3. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct. Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, the supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise in, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, flame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, 3 worlds are not. Incomparably the wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one God, the thusness I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that dharma which pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realization, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by waves of aging, sickness, and death.
Papa Kunjo Sumla Cha Zelo Dige Dage Toba Duji Na Chumden De Chago Bombo Rela Gemonji Kindu Chembo Da Chanju Sembe Kindu Chembo Da Tawa Jidu Jude De Che Chumden De Samo Tawa Shejawe Chuge Na Tengen Zela Nyumbro Shuzo Ya Ti Se Chanju Semba Semba Chembo Papa Chere Se Wanchu Shera Ge Baru De Chemba Samo Jeba Nila Nambra Tashi Kumbo Ngabo De Da Ya Rajin Ge Domba Namba Tao Tene Sanje Ge Tu Tsedan Demba Shari Chanju Semba Semba Chembo Papa Chere Se Wanchu La Dege Che Meso Rije Bu Kala Shera Ge Baru De Chembo Samo Jeba Jeba Duba De Chida Labar Dege Meba Da Chanju Semba Semba Chembo Papa Jere Se Wanju Ki Tsedan Demba Shari Dade Bola Dege Je Meso Shari Po Rije Pombo Kala La Shara Ke Paru Do Samo Jeba Jeba Deba De Tidar Nambra Tawa Chate Kumbo Ngabo De Da Layam Shingi Tombra Namba Yanda Ba Jesu Tao Tomba Ni Suso Dole Tomba Ni Shema Tomba Ni Le Jan Su Shema Yeno Deshen Do Sora Duje Dan Nambra Sheba Na Tomba O Shari Bo De Da Chue Tamje Tomba Ni Senye Meba Majeba Magaba Tima Meba Tima Dan Tewa Meba Gawa Meba O Shari Bo De Da Wena Tomba Ni La Sume Sora Me Duje Me Nambra Sheba Me Me Nawa Me Name Cheme Rume Ime Sume Chame Chime Rome Reja Me Chume Do Mije Kame Bane Ije Kam Ije Nambra Shebe Kamge Bado Yang Me Do Mariba Seba Me Kaji Sebe Bado Yang Me Do Dejendu Dunga Wadang
Kunjung
Kunjung
Wadang,
Gobadang Lame Yeshime Toba Me Mato Bayang Medo Sheribu Deda Wana Janju Semba Nam Toba Mebe Chir Sherabji Parudu Chimba Tenji Nede Semba Triba Meji Traba Mede Chiji Lole Shidu Nyangele Debe Tar Chindu Yusung Namba Shube Sanje Tamje Jan Sherabji Parudu Chimba La Ten Lana Meba Yandaba Zobe Chanjudu Ngombra Zoba San Yesu Edawena Sherabji Parudu Chimbe Nga Riba Chimbe Nga Lana Mebe Nga Miyambada Nyambe Nga Dunga Tanje Rade Shivare Chebe Nga Mizubena Dembara Shiba Jade Sherabji Parudu Chimbe Nga Meba Tayata Gade Para Sangade Bodhi So Sharibu Chanju Semba Chembo Teda Sherabji Parudu Chimbo Samola Labar Chao Tene Chomde Tenge Tele Shendi Chanju Semba Chembo Baba Chere Se Wanchu La Leso She Chawa Chine Leso Riki Bu Tete Shino Tete Chidara Juye Temba Shindu Rangi Parudu Ola Chebara Jade Deshin Sheba Namja Jesu Yirang Chomden Deje Dege Ka Sene Sedan Demba Shari Dade Buddha Chanju Semba Chambu Baba Chere Se Wanchu Dan Tamje Dan Tembe Koru Teda Dan Hadam Nidan Hamayindan Desar Chebe Jide Yirang De Chomden Deje Sumba La Ngambara De
Page 11. Thus I have heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha on Vulture's Peak, together with a great assembly of monks and Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examined all phenomena, felt profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahatattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature instinct. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, how should those of the good family learn who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, should look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature. And form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Empty form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, karmic formations, and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karmic formation, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes, up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to, there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. That there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment to all bodhisattvas, both of the wisdom gone beyond, and because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond falsity, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times, by relying on the wisdom gone beyond, fully and clearly awakened to unsurpassed, most perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, is equal and unsurpassed mantra. The mantra that calms all suffering should be known as the truth, where there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva should learn the profound wisdom gone beyond. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, very good, O son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shantideva, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the whole gathering in the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. So ends the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom gone beyond.
준죽 럽센데 준죽세 안 라비아데 자세 장주선배 줘봐 생겼다 라비아 콜라 시기여 저건 자세 장주선배 줘봐 생애비 줘봐 뭐디 줘봐라 버게 담고 줘봐라 자세 장주고 셈디 뭐송 아니 디 뭐송 찬에 디 라미 그 제 탑시제 아니 디네 자세 장주 셈바 줘봐라 버게 줘봐게 냠네 탈친 뭐 영화지도 줘봐라 셈장 셈바게 롭고야 오 된대게 냠네 제약이니 다 시약 롭센데 레스무스.
Now it is Thursday, and the Thursday lesson is in the way of the Bodhisattva, the Bodhicharya Avatara. The Bodhicharya Avatara is the topic of class. The Charya of the Bodhisattvas is the training that it describes. This Charya, this mode of conduct of Bodhisattvas, involves first identifying the mind of awakening, and then following the identification of the mind of awakening, the providing of each one themselves with a means for developing that mind of awakening in themselves. And then this is followed by the exercise and training in its instantiation.
오, 근데 세상 가자세 전주선배 줘봐라 럽세데 소다 가는 셈이 돌아 담을 장 셈. 가난적으로 즉 동해 용해하다 동해기 밖에 소니 아니 동해기 뭐 용사기 고도의 셈들이 지고 류디 아주 동해 용사로지 마도 지금 보고 지라게 셈기 줘봐도 야고 초나 류지 줘봐 메케고 용해 요말 셈기 줘봐도 메기 야고지 마주는 아니 류기 냠도 겨사로 지고 세상 또 셈로 정도를 쳐야 다 냠내 세야 차기 어려서.
These trainings are especially mental trainings for the reason that pain and suffering comes to the mind. Pain and suffering is created by the mind. It is the very opening for pain and suffering. That is the mind. And then the body is merely where it is experienced, the pain and suffering. Then when the mind is inclined toward virtue, then the entire body follows and is inclined toward virtue. And when the mind is disinclined toward virtue and non-virtuous, then the body follows suit.
어디들 레디오 가나서다 진주 년주 잠바 조 셈기 토네다 수수기 베 템바 템보체 셈바를 바세보치는 년투가 계속 뭐라 류기 대단 내가 수수 대우이나 아니 대단 잡보치는 게 냠내 수수 류세 차그래 냠내 차그래 수구양 대단 대 거기 쪽쪽이 대우면 바대 수부 대우치 수수 간에 대화도 나 어디 대 아니 대스 셈그 삼로 다 볼라니 때 망수 센트야 어디 답시 적으로 해서노지.
Now, when listening to the way of the Bodhisattva as a mental exercise, make your mind very stable and create clarity in your mind. And then with your body, find some physical comfort. If you're able to sit cross-legged, then in a sense, this is a exercise as well as a practice. And if you're not, be comfortable. Make sure you're comfortable, for the focus is on a mental exercise after all.
Oh yeah, 땡이 수수고 땡이지 수수고 컴 무부그 내단게 토네니 땡이지 고브디서 뭐 가시기 에 랑는 겁니 가시기 얘는 겁니 가시기다 왜 사지기 구수 대단 나시지 겁니다 수수도 류기 내단 차는 겁나한테 저 송여래서
Samadhi, personal samadhi, must be in accord with a personal physiology, the anatomy and physiology of the person, some recline and practice. Others stand and practice. Others adopt the posture of the Buddha and practice.
다 대인도 아주 전주고 진짜 자세 전주선배 줘발을 랍기 자세 전주선배 줘발을 랍이야 세도 되는데 한번 람도 봐 좋아도 거 좋아야 뭐 얘는 아니 람도 깨게 람도 깨봐이나 아니 랑게 녀배 뒤도 삼배 뒤도 고배 뒤도 가르치나 양그 제가 좋아도 여봐 인자 아니 랍도 갈래 매봐 랍바디 랍 친구 여봐 아니 수수고 냠내 제투야 요 자산 연구를 해서 그렇지.
Now, listening to the way of the Bodhisattva and the training it informs is possible by the force of aspiration and enthusiasm. Where there's aspiration, where there's enthusiasm, then the desire for the study and the contemplation and the meditation is natural. One is able to engage in the training, in the study, in the contemplation.
yes, that 장도 전주를 라베야 돼. 전주를 라베야 돼. 가리려고 해서는 장주선배 줘봐. 난 장주선배 줘봤으나 안에 가르치고 해서 당고 장주고 쌤생에 돼. 말한도 랑다 신 탐지 동해다 텐드 대화다 텐드 이 다기 수수고 지기 삼바디 아니 장주쌤이 원로고 유체 유텔라 때는 제부 안에 가르고 그러서나 대화를 가와 대화도 되니 대화 차상도 되니 수레스나 산제래 그다지 산제지 고반 생일이 토부도 삼바디 아니 삼바 장주고 쌤생이들 해소하지
일단은 다신 아니 탐지라
다신 탐지 대화도 텐드 대화도 텐드 동해다 텐드 제월 다기 차오냐 뭐 숨디
샘진 탐지 제가
심지 말도 유디로 산주 심 줄레기 골게 유치 다 유디기 제부 다 산주 심지 깨오로와 산주 심데 가르스는 엔제기 대화다 대화 탈심보다 덴바디 아니 산지에서 고반들에서 되게 다기 토기 삼바저로와 어디를 산주고 셈스
그래서 기우디 심신 탐식이 치료를 말
들어와 다다 신스
다다 신주라
다다 수수지 신스 신다 탐지를
Training in the way of the Bodhisattva and the Bodhicharya Avatara, what is it? What is the conduct of the Bodhisattvas? The cause of it is the awareness of personal experience of pain and contentment, the desire to be parted from pain and to find contentment, and the recognition that this too is shared by all others. So I will myself establish myself and others in that lasting contentment. But who knows that lasting contentment? The Buddha knows the lasting contentment. Therefore, I must achieve Buddhahood. And with this thought, then this is the mind of awakening.
장주기 쌤듯이 안다 된대기 산지지 고반 톱을 제발라 안에 냠내 친주보다 저바 냠내 그 뭐에 가서 랑기 주민벌 제베 친루기 냠내 신지 주민벌 제베 두왕 공부 시기 냠내 어떤 냠내 되게 무슨 주벌 제발라 당볼 랑을 될라 냠내로 무슨 주 투야가 치도 로 장구의 원주 대장야 그 쌤들라 아니 장주기 쌤 장와 야세 전주 쌤 제발 라바 생도 어디 지금 대시된 데서
In the mind of awakening, bodhicitta, and for the achievement of the ground of Buddhahood, the pursuit of the six perfections. The six perfections are for the purpose of ripening one's own continuum. There are, in addition, the four means of gathering disciples for pacifying the minds of others and ripening the minds of others. Now, to actually engage in these, to develop the ability to practice just these, one engages in the practice that is the exercise in developing the mind of awakening.
디제 다자데 전주 쌤지 아니 쌤들 로비앙체 다디 로비아게 전주 쌤디 다 당고 랑게 퇴바책으로 퇴바 맞으나 삼바도 연구 말은 Somebody maduna gombadi 연구 말세다 퇴선 고순 숨과 창국을 대한 퇴선 고순디 가가가 많이 봐 퇴배 되는 삼배 되는 공을 깨봐 어디를 고거세다 다 퇴선 고순디 고네 아니 다 냠내 제주 쉐바 치고를 어디지도 당하고 퇴바 당부 퇴바지 아니 퇴배도 삼바 치야 어디를 냠내 치고 요래서
the mind and the mind of awakening and these trainings. Okay, then first one studies, for without the preliminary study, there is no lesson learned and understanding gained. But then the understanding must be meditated upon. One begins then in listening and study, but as one listens and studies, one contemplates at the same time, one must. And as one contemplates too, one must meditate as well. The three, study, contemplation, and meditation, are drawn together and integrated. We begin then with the study and follow it with the contemplation.
근데 이제 좀 다 달랭하라도 가래스나다 되게 자주 셈디 아니 럽투야다 럽고야다 아니 다 럽아 가르치는 럽고가 유매 다디 주제 디나라 아니 가서 냠내가가 치투고 거래서
Now what would follow in the mind of awakening, that we would train in it and would be able to do that and would see its purpose in these, the ability to train in it, the seeing of its purpose. This is the practice.
야, 나도 가리 되어 달랭하라도 다 나도 가리 레디어스나 다 달랭하라도 튠지 차상 시행진원의 창고야 그 튠지 랑경원의 창고야 튠지 차상 창 배땡 개발지 류된 개발지 샌된 개발지 들리지 가서로 톱이어레스 다 톱아 디 랑기 배주 땅마토나 아니 수수 배 하장 탑쪽으로 해서 가정고마 들려보면 남듯이 이야기를 손으로.
Now where are we? Where do we find ourselves? But seeing that we have presently all the supportive conditions that are provided by others, and those supportive conditions that are self-fulfilled. And these are found in the precious human body and the opportunities it affords. It's an exceptional moment. What we have presently, though, if unused, is a great loss, as I described last week.
예, 제단 빼지나는 백한데요스나 누구 제 랭가 중에 자주나는 누구 랭가 중에 되는 누구 때가 치니 누구에서 사절을 내 아니 주용도 잡아 누구키니 마요체 라고 동바 용아이나 아니 배수수이네다 저거야 된다 마중아래 미기 따나요 코디 미디 빼다 지우고 버려 누구 랭가지 라고 동바 로고도 센데리 라고 여러서 빼데 송여래서.
What simile is used to illustrate this? Traveling to a far land in search of diamonds, in search of precious jewels, arriving in this place, and then turning around and returning empty-handed. One has oneself caused a great loss personally, but others will look on too and say, this person traveled to a land where there were precious jewels and they returned empty-handed. Aren't they foolish?
야, 때 평상하라도 지도를 빼자비 세계지나 아니 나라도 총재니 미직 아니 총여서 사절을 내 아니 미가가 총재기 여바인 순디날 수수 총 맞아버지 아니 캡산 말아봐이나 미수 수수이네 다 캡산라기 말에 미기네 다디 코드 총 고랑 국바체는 총자마송 다 캡산 가는 용거래 총고래 자마송 쓰기로 와서 빼디나 신스 삼을 땅으로 해서.
And now, what might it be likened to? But a entrepreneur going and finding a place where there's plenty of business to be had, and then not doing any business at all, and where there was profit to be had, engaging in no business at all, turning no profit at all. The personal loss is evident for that person, but others will look on and say, here is a business person in a place where business could be done, and he didn't do any business at all, and he's only found a loss.
Oh yeah, that the Indians about Nubul Jazuanga drone, Pai Nubulanga Chimber, soon the Nubukin Yongorwa, Nubukin Yoina, Suzula Kapsan Ravare, and Tanda Mu Trubar was, Tina Song Japsala, Song Jap Capsan Rana, Tang Dalo Song Java Capsan Ras, the Resigro, Tina Shin, Tang Aranzo Tanda, Tape Hajangi, Ludin Aranzo of Koyagi, Ludin the me Ludin, Ting on the Tobiore. Aranzo Momba Sayagi. Sherapi, Namchura, Namjiki, Sherapdi, Maranzola Den Yore, the Ansuzula Yore. That Tendrig be same day, same the Lu Sango, same day the Ludin Sango di, I don't know the Tarim Pejuji Tangmatu Yina, and Tayi Pesheba the Chiba Chagresons.
The person who would go to a land where there are jewels and return empty-handed, regardless, who missed the opportunity for profit, who didn't achieve their end at all, or the businessman who had an opportunity to do business and turn a profit and did not. So are we presently afforded with an opportunity that is the endowment of a human body. That which is necessary, that which is needed, the human body, we have got. The human body, the biological endowment of it, has the native intelligence that allows for discriminating wisdom, which dispels the fog of ignorance. That we've got as well. We have then the body and the mind, these exceptional bases. If we were to squander these, our case would be no different than theirs.
Oh yes, that Nimbu language, around the Chizo Nalata, and then around the Chizo Nalina, around the Saya, Tunga, Koya, and then Susula Benjo, Neta, Kamba Moda, and stick them to Yuna. Maran June some this tingeros that the Pengi Yomaras, the Karisna, said the Togo Thompson Singeti, and it said the Yirimando, Sechimala Kia Yomaresons.
Then that we must get what we are after, that is necessary, must be recognized in the ordinary world, society as it is. A person is liable to think, I have what I need in terms of food and drink, I have what I need to wear, I have a reputation, I've got a car, I'm apparently a talented person, and I have all of these things. But the lesson is, our food and our accommodations and our reputation are beside the point.
Oh yes, that's a dig Togo Thompson Singedi, said dig digijere, dig round Dunga take the matter, they were take Mares. Tangazola Karigo or Milu Dilens, and Italia Carichores, to what the rest. Says that Milu Dikini says Chimala, Dini part Ludi Chewicam, Lusawa Lang Samba, that Dungemeva, Deva Tobia Yubeki, Luigi Lang Tuyak. Oh, Digitania Lens Chico, teach Hebaina, and Miluti Rimbati Masuna Rava Resonos.
Then the Togo and the Togo down some and it's top not city line. Take it.
In a quote under the Indian dollar Dunga or Resonos.
Having food and accommodations and a reputation will provide some satisfaction in this life, but that satisfaction will be mixed with plenty of sorrow. What we have in the precious human body, which we have got, and we need to think about doing something with. What would we do with it but secure in our fortunes in lives to come beyond this life? What follows when this body is discarded, whether or not the next body is one free from sorrow and one endowed with contentment. Toward this end we practice.
나도 세 딜레 기우 중 세마 동행을 잘나 아니 다 밀릴린 개구 중요 말했어 빼놨어 로 딜레 기우 땅 아니 로 제만이 봐 수수 강에 롱바 강 유에서 해잖아 아니 로디 기우 땅 줘대 개 팽기 말았어 이놈 로 제만이 봐be 동행을 잘 샤워도 직보 차그래서
If we make everything nice now at the cost of much that is awful to come, when it does come, then all that came before it will be of no good at all anymore. Like as though this year we dedicate everything to some pleasures in the year that causes horrible pain following.
진짜 진짜 이러자마 땅아주 다 재단 새 치마 생이 됐다 밀루 되기 배주 땅에 치마 기부 치마를 동해 마중원 대화 중해지기 아니 랑기 내가 제 냠내 제 유나 다디 추스 어다 추스 되는 뭐 되니 봐 보고 그래서
So then, in view of the life to come, the putting to use of this human body now, utilized so that in the life that comes, it is free from pain and filled with contentment. When our labors and our practices are directed in this way, then this is the dharma. This is dharma.
야, 된저기 다쳐야 냠내 제투바 이나 아니 다세 되게 동해세라 팽그레 다 개치쇼디 다 되니 바치니 치마 펜제라 다 랑 대화라야게 대화 동해세와 대화 토바 아니 다 고급도 차상 토부여 해서
Then when the dharma is practiced, yes, in this life, it also causes contentment, but more importantly, in lives to come, it alleviates sorrow. It achieves contentment for us.
예, 그게 세상 된저 이르다 맞다 된저 랑게 세 되기 찌불을 삼로다니 대바 이나 아니 세 딜라양 아니 양 동에 용고바 세 치마 펜질라다 고 주사면서 녀송을 깨 내가 녀송을 깨봐 있는데 동에기 도야 매바 동에를 배 타려야 매바들이 차그래 해서
Therefore, in this life, when the preoccupation is solely with this life's happiness, one will in fact necessarily experience pain. And then in the life to come too, because no constructive causes have been accumulated, one falls to hell, and there the pain is continuous, and it is impossible to escape its bondage.
어디에 답에 세딜라 아니 동해도 간데 용거스나 다 세딜라 동해 예배기 담도 준주 코로나 송단 제바이나 아니 개데 다기 대도 내티 가도 너무만 하시죠다 개데 다기 대고네 뭐봐 치장 길루나스 다수도 달린 빈데지기 때 상보지 톡 아니 라는 쳐도 던지 남제다 대나 양 아니 마리보다 몽베 왕기 레로 온도 쇼르소나 아니 저지 당부처 마템바지 테나야 마제바지 근데 제바이나 아니 치가라 몰라 치외세 모두 조도 아니 랑라 강기 너로와다 아니 제마 투바다 아니 랑기 규베 교영강가 테도 좀 아니 셈나 남다다 동에 들리 친구 영화 지를 해서
How is it that that pain is caused in this life, according to the way of the Bodhisattva, in verse 24 on page 56, if having understood all this, I'm stupidly despondent still, then at the moment of my death, my sorrows will be black indeed. That is, in this life, with the exceptional basis that is the human body, with its native intelligence, if nevertheless one allows bewilderment and ignorance to prevail, and one simply does not even recall the Dharma, or recalling it, is not moved to practice it, then in the manifest moment of death as it occurs, all of one's mistakes, all that made one incapable, all of one's remorses will assail one, and one will feel horrendous anxiety and terror.
예, 띵어랑도 망체 통치를 열었어. 아니까지 다 랑이 세디기 디기 된다라 빼다 벤조 롱주 첨부체 아니 랑이 지금 세디라야 미세기 개와서 제마도 아니 시갈라 몰라 빼다 아니 중앙도 되베 원게 차베 원게 강에 망보 아니 랑이 밖에 세당 원게 아니 셴라 갑대 자마투바다 빼 셴라 네 마투가 된데기 남자도 된데기 동행이 오는 시갈라 몰라 빼 남자 망보치니 시고야 띵어도 미기 통해도 왔어 제가 되게 이르 뒤주 강갈로 아니 다 수수 미진나 지단 야보 마직베 게임 원게 치갈래 남자도 동행되게 연구 열에 손으로
다들 내가 키야지 세당
원게 셴라 밖에 당을 생각이 도는 내가 게 마투가다 가지를 내는 제 마투가다 되게 당에 직 지고를 지투 마서 배들 되게 셈나 남자다 들으시네 수수로 강에 친구 양도 도와서
This is apparent to us, obvious to us in the experiences people have, having spent their lives accumulating wealth, not at all inclined toward any constructive action, any virtue, but entirely overwhelmed with greed and desire and aversions and hostilities. And then at their moment of death, which we see the experiences people have, then they recall all the retaliations that they were unable to achieve. All those who had harmed them, whom they weren't able to return the harm. All that they wish that they could have done, but haven't been able to do. And in this moment, these people filled with aversion, greed, and desire experience great pain.
예, 다들 치마, 니네 밭 세편에 치마요. 아니 동해지, 다 동해지 동화 교그래, 동해지 동화 교그래. 동해지 동화 교래게 아니 숨배 준주고 세디 이게 와대도 님의 저가 유린 두 다기 룰을 색줄나 교바 메시 매버와 샘도 주고 되면서 어디지 책임진다 봐.
And then in the life to come to, in realms of ill fortune, there too one suffers, and one suffers the pain of suffering. And when my body burns so long in fires of hell so unendurable, my mind, there is no doubt, will also be tormented, burned in fires of unendurable regret.
야, 저서 야, 딱 간다라. 랑게 아니 지금 장주고 쌤기 페요 마삼바. 아니 장주고 쌤 줄라 제가 그거 마 줄라 제라 말로 받지. 아니 제나야 마송와 냐버체바. 아니 텔라소보다 디바이스 베랑기 디바 제샤보다 망고요르 되도 강가 디바도 좀 제부게 아니 가르치겠으나 제부디 아니 냐송도 깨봐졌다. 단다 빼져나라 냐와를 깨봐지겠다. 냐와디 냐송고 나네다 동에 치쇼도 인도 아니 냐와도 빼자르버와 제가 냐와를 깨기래 냐와를 깨나 아니 가르치기래서나 아니 동에 하장이 유림보 동에 차보 동에 망보 된데 영고 치기래 랑기 루이베 색바다 샤바도 두바다 덱바 되게 배다 동에 나서 용과 되게 용그레스 어디 지금
Failing to ever reflect upon Bodhisattva with its great benefits, or having become aware of it, never choosing to train in it, or having developed it, choosing not to sustain it. Any of these non-virtues, as they mount, cause, what is it that they result in? They cause their result, which is the fall to the realms of ill fortune. That ill fortune includes the worst fortune of all, hell itself. Finding oneself there, then, in hell, it is an unendurable pain of long duration, of great harshness, incredible intensity. And there a person is burned alive. They are torn apart, torn asunder, and beaten.
오예 되게 동해 첨보다 동해 규름보 아니 배 동해 잡은 용용도 아니 라는다 가르치겠어 라는다 동해들이 가 가르치는 양이라 동해들이 양가 가르치는 게 동해들 양갈래 나선 랑 수수 교바찌를 교바 잡고 교바찌 교바 미세바배 화장이 교바 침부찌 그랬어 뱀 교바때 배 축축부 매버로 나 깨그랬어 이나야니 뒤뒤 교바찌 그랬어 셈라배 동해 침부찌 그랬어 동해 침부찌 받다 더 태송 제고야 요 말했어 이 개구 태송 침부찌 요 말이 이나다 뒤뒤 교바찌 그래대 교바찌에 대한 아니 교바찌는 팽야 개구 요 말했어 교바찌에 치다 교바찌에 뒤지 말와 팽기 말했어 제가 되게 이두서 맞다 단단 나랑도 라와 유바 튠진 창와 디가 둘다 랑이 오늘 전에 내 미기워치 열어 교바치 시작바치 내 교와치 열어 제수 이랑 지도나 아니 단다 교바치는 교바치에 두지 렘바 차기 열어서 너무 참
교바키에게 두저 렘바와.
단다 교바치는 펜토야 교바치 요데 교바치 펜토에 차기로 손을 깨서는 교바치는 팽개만 답시요 말와
Then in hell, where the pain is so intense and so long lasting, finding oneself there, one will certainly wonder how it has happened that one caused this for oneself. And the remorse will be very great to realize that one is responsible for one's plight. And this is the unendurable pain that is a mental pain of intense remorse for the physical pain one causes oneself. About this, that the suffering is intolerable, there is no ambiguity. And there is, yes, remorse there then, but it is of no use as it's a bit late, no use at all then. So the point would be that now, at this moment, when we have our independence, our freedom, when we have conditions that support us, if we were to incline ourselves towards virtue, then we might also recognize our non-virtues and confess to them and purify them, and incline ourselves toward virtues, and those that we are responsible for celebrate. And so there are these two moments of remorse, the remorse upon finding oneself in hell, and the remorse now for non-virtues for which one is responsible. Such remorse at this moment is constructive. In hell, it is too late.
Oh yeah, that tender you do some of that, digwa pong sing, and it gawa this that drub riba. Yawas in the never drub yuba. Oh, Jawa drubna and the Bejun Yantaba Yimba. Oh, this shake we arrest that this shake Tandala and that. Talang around the top of Miluti, and Tola Madon, choose to Madama, choose to Madama Gugres, and choose to Tawa Yina, 아니 랑 배 동행을 맞추고 냐월 트고 다시 되게 차그랬어. sabjo kono ji pung yana risa. Tenjo chusu do chu sene spa. Sabjo nye so. Tenjo chu sene lanya nyewa chene seme bada tsungwa asa. Odi sabjo ji chang.
Then the appropriateness, the fittingness of abandoning non-virtues and pursuing virtues. That this is good sense, that there is every perfect reason to do this. To emphasize this, the 26th verse, which is following in the organization of the text, the section that illustrates the purpose, the reason to abandon non-virtues and to make an effort at virtue. So the 26th verse, for it's as if by chance that I have gained.
Dani shedan denjuna chijan nyewa tetine ngaji mongba cheba chen dalang disim medu se go disuna.
As it is fitting to pursue virtue and abandon non-virtue, and that one would do that with this present body, but failing to do that, that one would be leading oneself to hell. Describing this, the 26th verse on page 57, for it's as if by chance that I have gained this state so hard to find, wherein to help myself. If now, while having such discernment, I am once again consigned to hell, I am as if benumbed by sorcery, as if reduced to total mindlessness.
Oh, yes, that. Today, you do some of that, not to train it down, not to Kazan. The Tanguini Kazan of the Dynamo, Lodena, the wrong, the Yangon, my Jersey Chevrolet. That train also said that the enjoy choose it on the subject, the chant they added that train clubs and the rest was.
The earlier verses we had already covered last week, so this has been a review. And now we turn to this. For it's as if by chance that I have gained this state so hard to find wherein to help myself.
Oh, yeah, that and the trick the Korangi ma told the shade of this Jabaina. Shindu Niega Pembe Sas. Tangaranzu Miludi, Talenyo Miludi, Kandeji Meja, Tamu Watchan was Miludi top chojo, baby, you chojo, top chojo, the nature reverse. They are the Mares Miludi, Hajangi, Ra Kabu, near Kabu. Meludi tobala be ju mango sago wiyoba or the legitambo motion but you were
To provide an explanation of this following the language used in the first line, for it's as if by chance that I have gained this state so hard to find. We identify what characterizes the precious human birth. It's difficulty. It isn't the type of thing that is easily found, that should be discarded, or it can be easily rediscovered. It's not like that at all. It's exceptionally difficult to ever come by. One must have accumulated many causes in order to ever come by.
Oh, yeah, Maranzo Milu singing it. Tanganzo dog and name Mangoyor, Penanazo Ha, Hamai. And then yes on the shame was it. You're the Tikanga Nanita, Milu Niebala Kale Jaguina, Kale Mangshu Jaguar. Oh, yeah, that in a rangi ji gewa ji zhubu gu yu na yang gewa pe shenla le da manga sa go de ta kandar lega pe khande ji ba ine shenba la yu sa ba le ya niza ya manga sa go de so.
The precious human body, it is one form among the many realms of beings. There are devas and asuras. No need to go into the realms of ill fortune and the creatures there. Among all realms beings, the human body is the most difficult to ever gain. Of all the hardship required to achieve any one of the bodies that one may in these realms of being, that which is required to ever achieve the human body is greatest and most difficult. The virtues that it requires, where others too require that one achieve virtues, the human body requires many orders of magnitude more virtue to ever be achieved. One achieves virtues that lead to other forms, but in order to ever achieve the human form, there must be multiple magnitudes more virtue accumulated.
Oh yeah, chinde lui de mo shen tal rang lui de ji ki pe za chen bu yin ba de mo shen ba che ta nye ka bu yin na yang ko shera ji pendo me jo de yin na da ke yo mar wa ine ko di mi lui di ha jang pe pendo chen bu yo ba yin za and this da wa na ko na pen be sa pe ha jang gi pe mi lui di pe 간디지 지게 이네 제투야 요바 랑기 백다 간 레소 랑로 백 대화도 간디 줍투고 이나야 줍투야 요바 차상 지투이기 르덴지 임바 인상 거 펜베 하장 펠럽 제보 인상 아니 고뭐 마세 아니 하장기 랍 제보 펜도 제보 오 디임바데 원시고래 소로지.
This is the identification of the human body to recognize its blessedness, its value. Yes, it's difficult to come by, but it would be a different matter if it were difficult to come by, yes, but then of no use at all. It's not that way. It's difficult to come by, and then it is the very place wherein one may help themselves. Meant here in the line, this state so hard to find, wherein to help myself. To mean that there with the human body, one is able to do in anything. All that is good in all its plenitude may be achieved through the human body. So it is rare, yes, but moreover, it is blessed and extraordinarily beneficial.
Oh yeah, that in the yimba pede kare jarana sashila sashidi ani ngaranzo ta zambuling sashidi ani singda nase yunde tamje ta kanta ngara zambuling be set do kare go ina kesagi shido chadu dos odi pela shane ani rang didan drive rang meg ludi ani ta pembe lezo tamje dewa tamje 중사기 그 용어 제사기 사시다고 동해 탐지 파 점바 제사기 사시다고 인자 아니 펜베 사 스폴 민디 따기 요래 손으로.
And another simile is this precious human body is like the earth itself. This earth, the planet, and its earth that grows forests, that has mines of gold and silver. The earth is the base of all of it. Likewise, the human body is the base of all good qualities. Every plenitude of goodness, every well source of contentment. That is what the human body is. And so the line, this state so hard to find, wherein to help myself.
오야 근데 사실이 그 냠보 장마 아니 바게 템보지 메나 아니 미기 스틸라 너도 답기 말와 너도 답기 말해 답나 끼기 말와스 세단 데데 이두 잠마다 나라도 밀루디 아니 베 사시 사시 계속이 시디 임바 마체 아니 베 신상보 베 사자 상보 장마 코이뇨보 유바기 오 사제 디다 배송 말레스 디다 사제 베 코이뇨보 장마 요사디나는 미기 돈도 답그리 답아나시 깨기로와 디나신 가나도 밀루디 연이디라 다 윤대 탐지 베 폐마다 대외게 윤대 탐지 계속이 시차되어레스 세상 사실로 빼자네 아니 디나시랑 류디 다 델렉 탐지 개화 탐지 남거 윤대 탐지 계속이 시디 내내 류디 차되어 세상 류디 자침부 차고요 레소노
If a patch of earth is uneven, and if a patch of earth is uneven, then it won't be planted. Or if it's planted and it's uneven and is not fertile, then there will be no growth. So then the earth itself is basis. Then when it is flat and cleared and fertile, then it is planted, and then a crop blooms there. The human body too, that is likened to the earth itself, is flat, cleared, fertile. It then becomes the very basis for the development of all that is good and beneficial. Because it is this way, the simile here likens the precious human body to the very earth itself.
Oh, yeah, the Lutin Sambu dis and telling Anzola never else, Rabber Tober was Toberes, said that Tober D. Any Gumeva came about the little Chua Revesna, Timares, that's Hangama, Rangi Pejawa, Top Chin San. But you love Chimbo, Top Chimbo Sawa, Latene, and telling around the Ludin never else.
The human body, this human body, is the human body we've got now. It's the human body we have accomplished. We have accomplished it and gotten it now. And this accomplished and gotten body that we have now, did it come, though, from no condition at all and no cause at all? It certainly did not. It followed from the intense effort in our own past lives, a forceful tsunami of effort that culminated in the present human body.
Oh, yeah, take Ludindi, and the Ludindi Pecu Meba, Beyangaranzo, Ombo Matsawa Meba, Ombo Tsawa, Be Sheba Ranking to Neba, Tapet, the Digic Sambu, the Digic to the last, or this one.
So then here, with the present human body that is faultless, that is complete in its faculties, that is naturally endowed with discriminating intelligence, if now, while having such discernment.
Oh, yeah, that can take to the Sheba Ranking to Dembas, Ombo Tsawa, the dig to the Chabarjin Dilla, and the Rangitan. Page Chima Devegi, Sonam Gewa Madubache, and the Anjud Ben Digwasan and Deva Yina, and the Koi Tama Ned Karsis the Duten Ya Martiwache, Mangason Mania so Martiwachi Resoro.
If now, while having such discernment, that is at this time with the natural intelligence of the endowment of the human body with full faculties. If at this time one does not increase their store of merit, one engages only in non-virtues, then the moment has become the leash leading one to hell rather than that which would have led one to greater fortunes.
예, 근데 치과이나 아니 랑마 송가 수수 치과이나 아니 그 빼디 가르스나 나기 몽고 빼 나기 몽고 쳐봐서 빼는 냥아지 투제 냥아지 아니 셈버 미 템버 메조스 그 두다 제들의 루는데 미 템에서 아니 빼 두고 당사를 치과 나신 치과레스 두고 당사를 치과 나신 아니 랑이 수수수 배다 아니 빼 셈이 예버도 배주 마당하지 아니 영화의 티버도 직관의 스페드 송열의 소로스 아주 뭔가 제가 신세대로.
If now, while having such discernment, I am once again consigned to hell, I am as if benumbed by sorcery, as if reduced to total mindlessness. That is, if one leads oneself to hell, it is as though one has come under the spell of a sorcerer through potions and spells casted, and is led away to hell. But the difference is one has done this to oneself, one has failed to use one's own mind and wandered off to prison.
어떤 쌤이 도주 수술을 쌤이 배주촌에 매버 도주 매버 라우 쌤 매버의 직발에 쌤 여버의 배주 개매는 쌤 매버의 직발에 한 더더 신의 직발에서 어디 숨어서
As if reduced to total mindlessness. When one does no examination at all, then that is to be in effect mindless and to be no different at all from wood or from stone.
어떤데 제가 이들자마다 나눠서 달린 세바 쌤배 그거이시다 대마 저도 심지 남주 싫어 먼저를 대요래 대대사게 된 루된 상보대 랑을 톱이요래 어떤데 이들자마다 달린 만족이 마셔를 배 종마라 같이 제토야게 냠내 적으로 해서 어디 식으로 땡기요래서
Then now, with the precious human body and its native intelligence that allows for discrimination and the wisdom of discrimination, this is what we have got now. Presently, having gotten this, we must not lose it, we must not slip up in such a way that it is lost to us.
야, 딱 한다 도도 랑게스 루이드나 수 두고주네. 아, 치마. 대화 고유나 대화 두비하고 뒤제디 아니 배고만에 배트랑게 깔래제베 드부야 다네 루이드 이삼네 랑게 루이드 인데게 땡 체벌지 임바데 모셰베 고나니 냠내 나야 되래 소로지.
This very body, pointing at one's own very body, we think of it, this is the body that would experience contentment. It is the body that has the causes and supportive conditions for ensuring contentment. That's this very body. And this very body is the same body that has resulted from my own efforts in my past to reflect and recognize just this of the body is the practice described here.
어디서 다 들은 것도 준중지라데 대 두바체. 로와 아니 당어도 샘중 꼴다 가서 하마드니 샘중 군동아 셰네 다 유행아 꼴을 뜻이 잡초지.
Then here we will complete the lesson in the way of the Bodhisattva, won't we? And then we will resume the minds and mental factors where we were considering the five omnipresent mental factors, but now allow me to go into a description of the mental factors with a discernible or determinate object.
오야 심중 업주 짜지긴 나네 당가 군중가 진사라 다디네 융행아스 융행아스도 모두 지금 여러서 융행아 대전이바 융행 융해바스 다 융행아 대전이나 융행아도 가르스나 듬바 뭐바 셴바 띵이지 셔럽 나들에서
We've completed the five omnipresent mental factors. And now let us turn to the five mental factors with a determinate object. Five object ascertaining mental factors. These are five more mental factors of the 51 mental factors. This second group, then, the mental factors with a determinate object include these: aspiration, belief. But as we begin with aspiration.
이게 싫어가 싫어와.
어디?
오야 다데 디제 다디 셈 타지 군중가 생에디 셈 탐지지 콜을 두고 유바이자 군루슬라르와다 단다 유행하디 셈 탐지지 코드 두고 요말 세상 고 군루슬라 요말에 직송을
We describe the five omnipresent mental factors. The omnipresent mental factors are always with every mind. But these that follow, including the mental factors with a determinate object, are not always accompanying every mind. So they are not called omnipresent.
Oh yes, that the in the zamba. That and then 융행아티 아니 막 that is 양주 그 되베지 잡아이나 다 당부 둠바 생에디 디르다 둠바 생에디 공도 셔바나시 되베유 되베유제 되베유 녜베유 디베유 녜월다베유 유치라바 코나라 녜바나 아니 유녜바스 네.
Now, if we add more to the explanation of aspiration, aspiration is the cause, rather, first to explain aspiration, the cause of aspiration is to see the qualities of the object and so on. The definition of aspiration is to add to the explanation of determinate object, mental factors with a determinate object. In relation to which determinate objects do any of the non-omnipresent mental factors arise? There are four types in this order: desire, determination, acquaintance, and analysis.
Oh yes. This tambo anzoza dumba singdinda dumba moba tamba tingi dinga na tambo dumba shebala dumba sing yudi kar dumba yudi karsna yula yunde ton yudela yunde ton chebade ani dumba yure so.
Now then, for the five mental factors with a determinate object that are aspiration, belief, mindfulness, meditative concentration, and wisdom. The first here, aspiration.
first, in order to explain aspiration, the cause is described. The cause of aspiration is to see the qualities of the object, and so on.
오야 다 둠버싱이 모두 간대지 요래스나 되베 공부 시글라 미그네스 랑기다 가사 데 수수 되베게 아니 시 공부 가리네 다 질 되는 가리나 자다 티다 로다 렉자 수 가리나야 텔라 미그네 아니 랑도지 던도 녀베 셈중 지라 아니 둠바스 밍다서 히든지 거래서
The definition of aspiration is a mental factor that, upon observing a desired thing that may be anything whatsoever, any sense object, a sound, a sight, a scent, form. Upon observing a desired thing, seeks to attain the thing by its own power. This is aspiration.
오야 다디 듀베기 페도 간데스나 랑 페도 디 간데스 자르샤스나 페제나 단데 디나 페간데 시나 페 망부 요르다 디나 페제 디나 페간데 자스나 랑라 윤데 마제 바남 제버 제베 체도 윤데 데 던도 녀베 셈중 스페자르샤
Then what is an instance of aspiration, or an example of aspiration? An example is a mental factor that seeks to attain qualities that have not arisen in oneself in order to give rise to those qualities. There are many examples, many instances of the mental factor aspiration, but a particular example given here is of a mental factor that seeks to attain qualities that have not arisen in oneself in order to give rise to those qualities.
오, 됐어. 다 둠바생 칙디기 라시에 간데 저래스나 칙디기 라디 유 둠바생이 칙디 다시 라유 돈도 녀를 권해서 랑기 유 가르치기나다 수다 제로 가르치기나 돈도 녀를 권해 랑다 충분되면 심중 함지 심중 가르치기와는 탐지 라유를 둠버 체베나 아니 두바스
And the meaning of the term aspiration itself, it is so called because seeking the thing that is its object, whether that's a sound, a sight, a scent, whatever it is, because seeking the thing that is its object enables the mind and all the mental factors with which it is concomitant to aspire for its object.
오이 되듯이 나 둠바생이 가래스나 아니 되베 공부라 공부조로 되베 공부 대단 대버 제바 대버 제바 되바 랑기 되베 공부 랑기 가와스나다 되바스나다 델라야 랑다 마체바 대버 제바 오 대버 되바티 아니나 두바스라 그래서
What is aspiration? It is the very wish to be endowed with this or that attribute of a desired thing.
오야 다 거기 젤레를 가든 준주 좀 때 제베 젤레진스 그 내가도 젤레로 가려서 준주 좀 때 제베인다 때 제베 젤레진 제레스 뭐나
Its function, its activity, its function is to act as a basis for generating diligence.
그래서 다가데 뭐수 준비 계진 규네 연대 탐제 공도 배워 제봐. 어디가 세르스는 어디래?
To clarify that further, its function is to act as a basis for generating diligence. The function of aspiration is directly to produce diligence and indirectly to bring about an increase in all known good qualities.
야, 다 두바들라 릭미더 칸데요. 두바 미더 칸데칼레 요레스나. 아니 테버 두베 둠바. 미테버 두베 둠바. 전도 니베 둠바 소데데 리숨스 티행레소.
When categorized, what different kinds of aspiration are there? There are three types of aspiration. Aspiration wanting to meet with the object, aspiration wanting not to be separated from the object, and aspiration seeking to obtain the object.
야, 다도 둠바. 유행아이는 바로 둠바디 모델 제바이스. 아니, 다 둠바게 콜라야. 이 단다디 대비 많이 봐야 개바들로 지기나 뭐바게 콜라 빼 개부 요래 손으시.
This then is the first introduction to aspiration, the mental factor. And for more extensive treatment of this mental factor, its treatment is very extensive in the Abhidharma.
야, 나도 대샤. 아니 나도 다 아기마 수수기한 세고 매고도 도바사 되고. 어떤데 있는 나도 다 까마 가시지 저틀렌 체스 아니 저틀렌 매나 아니 나도 곰자고서.
Now, if there's anything that isn't clear, anything that's causing you doubts, we can use our Q&A to address your concerns and doubts. And if there are no questions, then we will meditate.
Yeah. Now,
if you've got a question, and so no.
Yes, Shila, thank you. Can you remind me what desire determination analysis and acquaintance was? What were those elements as it relates to aspiration?
우리 기시게 된데서서 매바 남바 15 더바당 예바당 지바당 예바를 딱봐 라 고렘신데 아래래 예바 어데 된데서서 아니 예바 당 지바당 예바를 딱봐 더바 예바 지바 예바를 딱봐 이송송 된서 된다 된서단 된배기 제와 양결지 성르지
간사다
다데디
달레레 다데
예바
고름시도
지바 예바 딱 거른 신데 네
또 가도 되게
된주 얘네 카카로 얘네 kundu 마 임바 간다 임바 데다 뭐 보소서를 예바 간다 키워를 겨시나 매바 넘버 15 되어봐다 예바다 어디 넘버 15 되어봐다 예바다 제바다 예바다
뭐 유를 고름시도 데베 유체 담보데 데베 유체 아니 예베 유체 아니 디베 유체 아니 여와다베 유 제가 소소 코난 예바 시차대에서도 한번 두어로 kundu 많이 봐 강이 봐 되는 데다 공부도 강을 깨봐 주시나 나면은 알지 공들도 다 니들 때에서 듬범을 받고 뜻이랑 하고 유저 듬범도 유 가는 거 봤어 그래도 가도 되게 단 줄어야 되는 소리만
다 디기시게 된 딱랑 아니 겨서
아니.
이게 되는 성성 더버당 예버당 제버당 녀와르다과
어디 시도아.
이거데 이게 시기 성성
음.
더버당 저 지
어. 대바 당세데 대바 당세데다고 대바 가지러 들어가서 유유몽보디 파종목이랑 빼는 속 상보 조지 바이나 아니 속 상보 될라 미네 아니 랑라 디 소디 대바 정으로 와 대바도 듬바스다 간다 거니 유 책을 가가 잘 만도 더나 찍버도 책으로 당고 대바 다단데 대베 유 랑이 대베 유세디 수 토비아 삼로 땅으로 와 랑이 유디 빼는 잘라도 강바도 이제 바이나 아니 강바도 야고 주변에 디 딜레빙이 아니 베오 디랑로 톰도 삼바 깨서나 되베 유세 다 예베 유스도 뭐고 들어왔다 베나 데디어다 예베 유디라 예베 유세디 베나 땅도 들리오래 베나 랑게 베 미유 예제지 채널와 미유 예제지 채널 덴디직 다 고도 덴디직 톱나서 뭐 덴디직 안로 고도 쓰가서나 아니 가르차래 예배 유차로와 디바스도 가서 유ring 보니 가서가 빼나 직 랑게 잘라도 다 가리나 랑도 유ring 부지 디데 주제나 코다 바 텐데 메바 잘라데 랑로 빼 가두이나 랑도 냠도 대대 댕고 요를 삼단거와 디바 고바스 예월다고 세디 디로다 가서 빼나 잘라 저지나 코드 랑게 레 말에 아니 딩알로 고세로 고서만 딱지 예버로 체네 아니 랑게 딱 되바 쳐버 들어와 어쨌든 고 간다 듬버도 저 요래 손지
지금 다시 제버디 a desired object, a determined object, an object of acquaintance, and an analyzed object. The desired object, a desired object and an object aspired for are similar. Now, the desire for an object, if it's something that has a nice appealing shape, and we develop a desire for it, whether it's a house, some object, the desired object we want to obtain. The thought is, if I had that, if I got that. And so the desire and the desired object. The second, a determined object. The determined object would be something like this. It's definite that that's what's needed. That's what's wanted. Then the familiar or the object of acquaintance is a thing to which one has become very familiar through long exposure, has become accustomed to, and wishes that familiarity to remain. And then the analyzed object is an object that is evaluated for if it were mine, if it weren't mine, if it were obtained or were not obtained. Is it needed or is it not?
Oh yeah, that 당분이도 되베 당 예번이도 이 유의 트래블 되베 기반하는 요래서 그렇지.
Okay. Then the first two. The first two, a desired object and a determined object, are both objects that are forms of aspiration wanting to meet with the object.
어때 집에 뭐부디 미제버 되어봤대 dum바데라는 거래 손지.
And that third, an object of acquaintance is of that aspiration wanting not to be separated from the object.
네월답이 유디 아니 디 된도 녀버 dum바나 요래 손.
And the fourth, the analyzed object is the object of aspiration seeking to obtain the object.
진짜 dum바나 된데 요래 손지.
So in that way, it may be organized in aspiration.
야, 한 모두 집어서 신바데나.
Okay, so and then the other.
Can I ask a second question? The cause of aspiration is to see the qualities of the object. Is that the same as saying that the cause of aspiration is discrimination, whether the omnipresent mental factors?
Dumbegi morning, dubbing obo shigla migne, Dumbo Dumbala Sibana, Dumbe Guni, Dumbe Guni, you day, you didn't Tonga, or the Imbayana, the Imbayana, then the Imbayana,
Yes,
the Imbayana, Dumbegi Yuna, then the Dao Yina, then Kundronga in Nangne, and the Kundronga in Nangne, do you see wrong in the
군중강은 뒤시에도
and the Tongwadi, the Yundan Tongwadi, Yundan Tongwadi, you Yuna, then the
뒤시에도 저요. 이내 집어 찍간 책 말해서.
So it is.
뒤시에도 저요. 이내 그 뒤시 보기 판단하고 군중강 나라 찍이는 그 뒤시에 나라 찍는 리그 이내 봐서 켜봐den데 연구 말해.
So it's related, but it's not identical. They wouldn't be, the two of them wouldn't be wouldn't be identical.
거기 단다 디 듀버스도와 이셈 요새 그거 콜로 열어와 단다디 단다디 나가다네 단다디 주스도와다 그러나 윤대랑이 윤대 통화집에 그 듀버기 주스도와 듀버기 유디 아니 그 대병원부 될라 미네 될라 그 교연도 마도 윤대도 통화집와 윤대 통화 제바데 아니 듀베기 주르와 듀베기 주세 아니 군중간은 열었으나 예초월 대기 거기 군중간은 여바도 개발이 뭐 듀베 단다디 안나가도 듀바도 뭐바디 유응에 방아디 심 개와도 좀 콜 열마도 심 탐지 콜도 여마로와 지금 심 개와도 좀 콜도 열에서
Regarding the mental factor of aspiration with its cause, that is seeing good qualities, when it recognizes in a good quality the absence of any faults in that object, qualities only, then it would be fair to include or count that aspiration as a form of discrimination. But the difference is that the omnipresent mental factors accompany every mind always. And the objects with a determinate object, the mental factor with a determinate object, these five, only accompany virtuous primary minds. So.
Right.
Yeah,
Any other.
Yeah, more than something, yeah.
I was curious, going back to the discussion of taking advantage of having this human life, body. What about like rock stars who become like really wealthy musicians and so talented and have the karma of becoming wealthy people now? Are they like burning off all of that accumulated merit and virtuous action, but then if they don't meet the Dharma, or they just evolve into like what happens to them? And then as another example, someone who I just read about someone today who became like an inventor of some type of microchip and became a very wealthy person and died, but gave away hundreds of millions of dollars. So clearly he has this like habituation, possibly over many lives, of coming into this good fortune in this life and likely going to be able to do many good things in the next. But if neither of them meet the Dharma, then is there a way to understand what could happen to them?
아니 토벌 대단 제외 제시 기업도 담발라 somebody course that the something line royang tangin kiraktin chane and you know chamodene chagra yine concerni royang tane and 축딱 chane and number 2 matene da 아니 무다네 그래서 롱주데 싹격데 미제 딜라야 아니 레 상보데 아니 제드로그와 이나야 아니 디마제 슈 너베 슈 마체네 디 펜보셰르 종게면도와 양메나 다디앙 거송 다디 아니 추세 케바치기 아니 추세 릭 살디 때네 균을 전부 차오래 다데네 콩링 누디 용밥디 차상 아니 사야망보 아니 젬바다네 아니 종두 아니 누다 균을 치앙 매버데 차사래 제산 패스니 개원 뭐만에 젬바당와라 공시 전부 탭살 왜케죠 잡고 도와 근데 미면다 된다고 여러와 미지기 네가 아니 최체 요마와 최체 요마래 얘는 미지기 젬바당 땅이 공시 요래 미지기라 근데 젬바당이 공시 요마래 얘는 이 티와 기 때와 가르레스나 강사 니바디 최당 마체나 마옴바 라 케와 치마라 텐 간디시 중 용 요메 라 고토 간디스 레고
Yeah, just after 제 그게 냠네 제대 맞게기 3그도로 빼도 쉐버도 저 총송송으로서
I have the feeling that you placed the question right there on the cusp between a practice and not.
야, 딱 간다는 건저 단지께지 시에야 되나네. 세 디기. 다 디기 벤조그 디기이나다 셈기 디기이네다. 아니 랑게다 디기 간데지마 이나양 경험만 남송 사베 레지기 데불라 니기레송로.
키워 아마이기에 제부아니
렉사베 데부지라.
예바 키그로.
어디 데부지바 니기레스. 이기레스. 탤런트라는 손남 사네. 데부들이 인생 말해서. 그 경험만 레기 데부 이바디 니기레스 찍송다.
In this life,
whatever the pleasure, the gratification, the reward experience, however it's experienced, whatever the form the happiness takes, it's found, it's experienced as it is necessarily as result of karmas of past lives alone, and not at all as result of karmas in this life.
Oh yeah, that's a chime digilana. Chime digilana. Se digi sabe leg dibu yore. Se ngama sabe leg dibu yore estikson.
As for lives to come, these lives to come, their experiences will be consequence of actions in this present life, as well as the lives before this present life.
Oh yeah, that odi nyebache. That chirange tandake chuoti chuarangala karsna. Se chima lata kandis pengre se chuoti roa. Tande leche be debuti ki chima la kandis pengre se roa.
And niga the gunner chimbo chavra in the chu taken mendo. Deni gansa deni base chiksana and the niga gunner chimbo chavra in a niga and chu da te mevro. Jason gunner chimbo chane chu matini keo chimala kanis devio.
Tako diroa da che da maches lan tanga zo de shi ja khago che cha da kaza kunju ki junor lungju denzo kuran zo kulung go to ne shen la pembe chi to kulung tang yu sigre ani ya de ke de to na kada che de jo mes yore yo mare study ngo zo zo bu zu ne la to ya khago res ina yang ta khari yoresna ta ko de che de di kulung gyawada kanya matreba tende ina ane ko chimala pensa di ta jaja nyi chira resons.
Then comprehending that is important. Now, in your question, important in your question was the matter of what follows, how it happens in future lives, and having not encountered the Dharma. But with certitude, saying a person hasn't encountered any aspect of the Dharma, that's quite difficult. A person who becomes wealthy may conceivably practice great charity and generosity with a refined intention, and to say that there's no connection with the Dharma there would be difficult. It's hard to point to what it is precisely, but at the same time, then there are cases where a person might use their wealth with no virtuous intention at all, but just as well they might have a refined intention.
Kandis ta kyandi kandis pedro shasha wena na uchana pedro di lava ina pena semjin chik lubdo chik semjin chik ani bagi shingna ji la de de wa yena ko bagi sha ta ne sha sha yu ji wena ko mi ya bo chi cheso na mi digi palu za sa ju ko ju chen be sha gro was ta mi duga chi keso na ko chu ju 아니 걸 티제 파세 바바의 슈샤드 사 바바의 권치기로 왔어. 제가 그 룩디 미 야가지도 테나 그 기부 요하다 미 두가지도 테나 그 소녀가 요바 오 베티나 신지 손다.
No, a simile for just this is to imagine any animal. Imagine a sheep, for instance, in a pasture. And the sheep may be hobbled somewhere so that it isn't able to move about. And if a kind-hearted person comes upon it, then that sheep will be well cared for. But if a mean-spirited person comes along to find a hobbled up sheep, then that person will kill it and skin it and eat the meat and wear the skin. And the course of events is determined by the kind of person that sheep is met with there in the pasture.
대 배대 나시 당하나족의 밖에 거기 대다 민이디기 지 주사샤조디 아니 건조기다 유사샤조디 아니 거 미생기 저저 따와 있는 거자 아니 거 간다리나 거 유사저거 될 때네 레사조죠 레사조디 레디 꿀ung 개워지다 채소나 아니 거 세치말로 패마차 그래 꿀ung 미개워지다 채소나 세치말로 뇌벨레를 돌그래서
Jenica de anigu carisa anigu zampo de anisaya ba.
유상마다 거의 유상부 있네라면 가다 레디 제여와 고라니 유사 미나 땅 있네라면 가다 고라니 기타 유사베게 레지여와 레디 삼바 상부 꿀ung 야보지다 채소나 아니 그 레게월도 그러와 제가 치마라 패야 레지로 그래서 다들 꿀ung 예바지다 유모원 꿀ung 교류였나 그 꿀ung 예바도 채와 인자 치마를 하려 뇌야 레를 교도 그래서
Then likewise two individuals and their karmas that cause for their wealth, and then the course of events is determined then by whether their karmas that accumulated their wealth then meets with a refined and virtuous intention in which those karmas contribute to fortune in the future for them, or differently, if their accumulated karmas meet with a crude, mean intention, and the consequences are unfortunate for them, determined by just that, the crude and mean intention.
그래서 인제 양아 중이 뜻이 경우도 그 코알라 뭐 코르베게 인제 양아 중이지 요래 양 코알라야 타락이 지도 인제 양아 중이 뜻이 요래서
It's this way in the 12 links of dependent origination that their order describes the revolution within, again, samsara, as well as those links of dependent origination describing the order of liberation from samsara.
예, 세상 다 단다 kirang 저었다 민이기 벤조 사바래 다 고체 치마라 가리 팽그레스 랍나 랍사 팽그레스네 주부뚝 토야다 나라 띵이지 요마르데 이네다 코꿀ung 개와다 채소나 세치마라 라나 팽그레 꿀ung 미개와다 채소나 세치마라 뇌그레스 다디 랍도 그래서
Now these examples, the two in your question, both having accumulated their wealth or both becoming wealthy, how the course of their futures isn't known to me without samadhi for that, but I do know that the course of events will be determined for them by their intentions, the refined and virtuous intention charting one course, the crude, mean intention charting another.
예, 제가 딜럽도 좀 받다 만족을 내가 제 가르쳐 예나야 수수고 미즈나라 가져야고 제예나야 야고 제예선 제 가와곰 제수이랑 고메 디 개체부 이봐 라게 미게워 셈나라 베셈 니무고 디고 온도 쇼르이나 아 딩마 송삼니 샤과체 어디다 냠내데 단단가도 제시 겹시면 냠내나는 열에서
So any activity at all in our lives, all that we're responsible for among that for which we are responsible, the virtuous things that we identify them and recall them, and then remembering them, celebrate them, that process is important, I can say, and that those non-virtuous actions for which we are responsible that happen because we are under the influence of mental afflictions, that these are destructive and are to be removed, and therefore we would confess to them that this process is important. I can speak to.
Oh yes, that the juju now chanju sem be kora she ko ya gyunzin di chanju sem la logic komi ke sana chanju sem ji rang ki la ke sona ani ni ne na kala sa ne ko ba jam ne kari chena ya ko gyawa la dugu yo ba insa ani chanju sem di ba kora je ma wu she yo re so.
In the way of the Bodhisattva, the Bodhicharya Avatara, Bodhicitta is repeated again and again. It is repeated again and again because once it arises one time, afterwards, then in every activity, sitting, walking, drinking, whatever the activity becomes virtuous. And so Bodhicitta is repeated again and again.
Oh yes, chanju sem yule ke sana mise ne nyawa ke mare di bari chag mare so.
If one has developed the mind of awakening and murders another, even then one does not fall into hell.
Oh tati chirang samlastani chura chele ya you gonna tang shi also.
So reflect on that and ask the next question when the time comes.
Yeah. Ani
The question online is aspiration the basis for joy's effort?
Dumbadi, ani tsunju kebi ten.
oh
Ribe.
tu bad tsudu je ten la sana tina peja korna sha to asun.
Yes, just as it's said in the text itself, it is.
Ka ta sem jung dumba singi de. Ani sem gi ta gewa de ya ke chung ye ke ten ro cha ge ro asun.
Aspiration, the mental factor of aspiration, is the basis for the development of diligence. Ani de tsunju kebi ten.
Ten tu bi ke sa ta ten ya tsudu ya ke sa shi ro chi ro.
It's the basis and support for it.
Oh yeah, that is all samlo tangi ani ko sem gi to dang yidu zamba digaz yo mar ta yo mar de ka ju samlo tang na ya ko pang ma ro ya yo re so.
So continue to think on it, as there's no outer limit to what may be reflected upon.
chilo ge su zambuling tang ani chilo thoya ge mi da am jo de ju pe ju tang ya de la che yo res. Nang sem gi yun den dang sem gi ani samlo tang ya la che yo mar zambuling di dang ma shang ji yo re so.
The external physical world that's seen and heard, it has its limits. It's bounded. The mind, the thoughts are unbounded.
Oh yeah, ma zu tang da che na xian pe ding yi jing yi dan zhen na ni ma lu de ding yi jing yi mi ba xie ge de ding yi de xie ge ro. Ani sem di zambulin tang da che de zamling chi wa cha kya kya chi mu chang ga ja mo to ma bu xie de gang ga ke sa de sem di na ke wo se da sem di pe chi gi ne ka zu yue na yang de le yang che yue ba. O de de gi ko nyam yu sa ge ni lo de sem ke wo re so.
In samadhi, in the presentation of the many objects of awareness for the development of samadhi, the magnitude of the world, the dimension, the magnitude of the world, the physical universe, and the innumerable physical universes there are, they are all originating from the mind itself. Necessarily, then the mind is unbounded and its boundaries beyond those of the physical universe. Therefore, reflection in this manner
gains for you exposure to this unboundedness.
동반이기 삼로 땅도 아니 셈기다 셈기 동반이 곰도 아니 난가디 난가라 데타데요레 데타요레 이니파 난가 요 말에 세야기 체요 말로 왔어 대나신 난가 가지고 친구 유네 대나신 셈들이 채워요 그래서
Meditating on emptiness with the mind itself as basis. The mind is likened to space itself. Of space, there is never pointed out any outer boundary beyond which one would claim there is no more space. This unboundedness of space is surpassed by the unboundedness of mind.
We'll
conclude there with our closing prayers.
난갈라 타요 말 셈제게 장갈라 타요 말고 셈제 장가 타매버 되다 탐지 아니 대화다 대모 주지 동에다 저와 주지 동에다 저와 다기 차오 냠베 꿀웅다 대메 고다니 말은 송쇼 송시
Then, as sentient beings are as innumerable and boundless as space itself, as there's no boundary to space, there's no end to the innumerable sentient beings. All sentient beings in their untold number, I will endow with contentment, and I will part them from their sorrows. This I will do, thinking in just this way, we recite our closing prayers.
Oh, yes. Bene rendo bele soni chutsun. Yamba gaji sabayi. Lome mare jero rowayi. Nande jave ombo tajuji. Tema sumbe sera kunyoya. Jambe yange tsewe jezo ne. Tembe remba kusan lamje jo. Yene rube jena neje sho. Rage chishin tobe lanje ne. Shura tsewe jamwe tabge ki. Rube yije mba seje ne. Jawe temba yure zinju ji. Temba rinjin choje majaba. Chabjan nyambara gyurve chote ne. Ninje chembo yirava jevayi. Tete teje sewara jewa sho. Seje jave menjun chilele. Le drum chanju lamje rimbe jan. Tadu namje yila bede. Jave zeva rindu chonju chi. Lansa drube tujin drujeje. Gege seje meda memengu. Sera kundu jawe nabayi. Namda landa rewa majuje. Kanze teba chola jujuje. Sujin chola tumba teye. Tude namje tatu chojeje. Rashi yasu chugun chagurji.
From my two collections, vast in space, that I have amassed from working with effort in this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of the paths of the complete teaching, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings,
with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teaching for a very long time, with my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined. May I offer this treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by following the complete graduated path of enlightenment and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent path never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Dagi chi sabe jewa di tendang ro kula gambe da chebara jiru losan raba yi tembe nyimbo rindu seje sho kare rawe kowe chingande pendang dewa malu chowe Jere sewa dinzi jazo yi, shabe sidi bado tenju ji, shabe bowo jidar kemba dang, kundu dangpo deya dezi. Teta kunje jesu dalo yi, jewa dida tamje rabu mo, tuzu shebe jewa tamje yi. Mowa kanga chodo ngawadi, dage jewe tawa digunya, sambo jeje rabu mowaji, chanju senju rimbo je, maje pano diguji, jewa nyamba beba kone kondo bewa sho.
I dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drakpa to shine forever. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Shinras and Tenzin Council, please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Because the brave Manjushri and the Mantabhadra feel, realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue for the purification praised as the best by the victorious left-hand ones of the three times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva deeds. May the supreme jewel Bodhisattva that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has risen not diminish but increase more and more. With this precious human body, meditate upon Bodhisattva, please.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good.